Wow. Once again, let me now take this opportunity to welcome you and also to thank you for taking time to be with us here tonight. I want to thank particularly my colleagues in the Azimio Summit who have all come in the numbers to be with us here today. They were saying it's Baba, and I was saying, how does Baba become the guest in his own function? That I become the speaker. I mean, I cannot congratulate myself. They are being very unfair. As usual, politicians are very unfair. But I'm very grateful that you guys have taken time to be with us here. I don't take it for granted, me and Aida. I met these young girls of 51 years ago. And sometimes they say live on the first sight. I don't know what to say. But we courted each other for nearly a year. In the end, it reached a stage where we went to the altar to say, I do. I do meant that you are condemning yourself to jail for the rest of your life. You say, till death do us part. That's a very easy way to say. But you sometimes find that most of the times you have the difficult part of it. There are times when it is nice and good, but there are times when it can be very, very rough indeed. Some of those pictures you see are just a very tiny fraction of the pictures that you should have seen. But Aida was a young girl, and there was also a young lad in town. In those days, so there's in the campus there, the halls of residence, used to call it the box. In those days, where you'd go to look for beautiful girls. I was a bachelor at that time. So we met and eventually courted each other. And the song they sang here was George Ramogi, Alice Alungonyenge, is the one that actually brought us together. And that's why it is very, very historical that should be played here tonight. But you see, life is what you make it yourself, There's no ways of saying this way or that way. But you see, there are some coincidences. She's celebrating her birthday tonight. As you know, so many years ago, my grandmother was having birth pangs and gave birth to this girl. Little did she know that several years later, her granddaughter would be going through a similar experience to give birth to her great-grandson. So that Aida is now sharing her birthday with her grandson. You see, this is also accidents of nature. Nature is a very interesting thing. But then I think that life is also an education. You learn as you move on, you know new people. So it becomes very interesting. When we were getting married, both of us realized that we had something in common. That we had a love for the Caribbeans. You see, Harry Belafonte, who was my hero at that time, had made it look so, so beautiful that I said that in my lifetime, one day I must go to the Caribbeans. Aida also independently, the Caribbeans. So we wanted to go to the Caribbean for our a honeymoon, but we did not have the money. So he said, in our lifetime, we must one day go together to the Caribbean. So it reached a time when we were now able to go. And we said this time we were now having a family, children, grandchildren. So we said we would take a tour to the Caribbean together. So we traveled on time. We traveled to London, Heathrow, then we changed to Gatwick, took a flight to Montego Bay in Jamaica. All of us flew from here except Winnie, who was then in college in the US, who came and joined us in Montego Bay. So we were there, now looking at what it was. Around there we went to what they call the Belafonte House, where Harry Belafonte was brought up. Then we went to a field where Hussein Bolt used to train his high school. Then we went to the Maroons. Maroons are those people who came from Africa and still live the way they live there in Jamaica. They fought the Spaniards, they defeated the Spaniards, the British. Eventually they signed a charter with Queen Victoria. So they lived the way they lived when they came from Africa. Then we went to Bob Marley, because Junior and Fidel are fans of Bob Marley. Home. And then from Montego Bay, then we went to Dominican Republic, a place called Casa de Campo. Then from there we went to the Trinidad. And then I went to Tobago, where I found the black people saying, because Trinidad and Tobago are two different islands. I said, tell me, what is the country to the east of Tobago? I tried to think of those islands. No. Eventually he told me, to the east of Tobago, there's nothing else but Africa. We come from Africa, and we are proud of it. So from there, we then took a flight all the way to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and then back. But when we were there now, I remembered Harry Belafonte. You know, Belafonte was a singer. He came to Kenya. He was also a freedom fighter, civil rights activist, and so on. So the song that I loved most is the one that sings the Jamaican farewell. Round the Bay of Mexico, where the sun shines daily on a mountain top, I took a trip on a sailing ship. When I reached Jamaica, I made a stop. But I'm sad to say I'm on my way. Won't be back for many a days. My head is down, my head is turning around. I had to leave a little girl in Kingston town. So, we have been on a journey, me and Aida, and we've reached where we've reached. Sometimes it was really been rough. When sometimes I was in and out, she was the pillar who looked after the family. You know, Junior got to know me when he was 9 years old. It's when he got to know me that I was his father. But all those times, Aida was the one who stood strong as a pillar and brought up these children. So it is good to appreciate a partner, and you know that you're partners. I've also stood by her when she was in problems. But she has been having more problems because of me rather than because of herself. Twice she has been sacked from her jobs, basically because of me. So you know the kind of price you pay marrying rascals like yours truly. You know, like now they see my shemeji there, Mrs. Oparanya, has been brought here because she married Oparanya. And she got some very unusual visitors. Home Kakamega. Tunataka kufungua mlango na ufanye kila kitu hapo vile iko. Nikuja kukagua. So we are there back to the old days. We have been through these things before. We thought they'd change. But the more things change, the more they remain the same. But we are not scared. We have walked this journey before. We know the ups and downs of it, and we are definitely convinced that ultimately the Kenyan spirit shall prevail. So with those very many remarks now, let me invite the birthday lady to come and say something to you people. Karibu sana.
Once again, good evening. He has said actually he has said everything. But on my part, I just want to thank